Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to check out a new mouse pad from ESPTIGER, the long anticipated Uzi Pad known as the Mor. I think what a lot of people nowadays are looking for in mouse pads is a lot different than what we were looking for many years ago. Now people have all of these custom designs on particular pads. People are into desk mats that have custom keyboards. Everybody's kind of going for an aesthetic look, and I think the main company right now who is making performance pads in a high quality package with a very high performing surface is definitely ESPTIGER. The Mor pad comes in very nice high quality packaging. It does ship flat, and the pad is very different than what we're used to from ESPTIGER. All of the information is on the back of the pad. It is 480 by 400 millimeters, and it is 4 millimeters thick. The base is a Peru leather base, and the base feels actually very, very high quality, but you can see that the pad, when you are moving the pad, it actually remains very, very firm, and I think a lot of that is due to this new base material, which is actually very, very high quality. The only downside of that base is that it does move around on certain surfaces. If I actually put this on top of a desk pad, it actually remains a little bit tighter and doesn't move, but in game, the pad does not move for me actually at all. So a very, very high quality surface, a very high quality package. And the surface material itself, the best way to describe it, which they have described it as a tight woven fabric, but what it feels like is almost like a athletic Under Armour shirt. It's kind of like a synthetic athletic-y feel to it. And the combination of that with glass skates, in my personal opinion, actually feels very, very good. Almost like the feeling in my last Cordura video, but the pad is a whole lot more comfortable to have your hand and your skin on when swiping than Cordura. And the glass skates on the surface are just buttery smooth, very fast, very consistent, and the static friction is definitely less on glass skates, and the kinetic friction is certainly less on glass skates as well, but nothing that feels too fast, and it's just an overall very enjoyable experience mixed with this beautiful print with that Uzi design with those blacks, grays, off-tone grays, and whites. So it's something that looks very, very good mixed with that G Pro Superlight, and a combination that for me has performed probably one of the best combinations for me with those Lethal Gaming Gear glass skates. Let's check it out. Now, certainly the standard for quality is a Artisan pad. I have a Artisan Zero next to the ESPTIGER Mor, and personally speaking, the surface of the Zero and the Mor are actually not very far off feeling as far as that tight woven cloth. This is a new version of the Zero, and it does feel buttery smooth, but it has a lot more control than the Mor. With glass skates, however, the differences of the two are actually quite similar. The main primary difference being that the Artisan Zero has that Japanese foam base underneath that does have quite a lot of cushioning for you to be able to dig in and get that little extra element of control. I think that Personally speaking, if consistency is more of your thing and you aren't able to very adequately control that level of downward pressure on a Artisan pad, and sometimes you feel like you get more control than what you're looking for, certainly the Mor pad is going to be more consistent for you than the Artisan Zero. This is, of course, the soft. You could always try getting the Artisan Zero mid, but to give you guys a glide test of the Lethal Gaming Gear glass skates on the G Pro Superlight on the Mor pad, you can see that unlike what people typically believe when they hear glass skates on a cloth pad, it is not uncontrollably fast with a lot of kinetic force behind the mouse and kinetic travel. And on the cloth Artisan pad, you can see that it actually is quite similar to the distance of travel of the Mor pad with that force behind the mouse when leaving my hand. And again, the pads feel very, very consistent amongst the two on glass skates. Going from one to the other with my eyes closed, it is a very, very similar experience. But to get into PTFE skates, I have the BTL skates on the Final Mouse Phantom Medium. And comparing the two, to me, honestly, they don't feel too far off with the BTL skates. But I think overall, without applying downward pressure on the Zero, I think the dynamic friction, kinetic friction feel just a bit faster on the Mor. As far as the X and Y differential, it feels very consistent. It feels as though going vertically might be a little bit slower than horizontally. I think that if you want that extra element of control, you are going to find it with that sponginess of the Artisan Zero. If you are looking for a little bit extra consistency in your glide, the Mor pad is very good with very good stitched edging that is very flush to the pad. You can see comparing the two, they are both quite flush to the pad, and a quality that feels very, very good. The Zero stays in place quite a bit more than the Mor as a result of the difference of the two bases. But again, I did not have an issue of the Mor pad moving in-game. And that is one nice thing about pads that have that foam cushioning, is that with glass skates, given the fact that static and kinetic friction are both kind of cut down to a great extent over PTFE skates, having that additional cushioning to be able to sink your mouse in and get that additional control that way is quite nice. One of the main pads that I have actually been using recently is the revised release of the Padsmith pad. The cushioning is a little bit greater than the prototype that I had, and it really is a fantastic pad. But again, if you are somebody who is looking for just pure consistency, the Mor pad is really, really great. And I have been using primarily the Mor pad or the Padsmith pad currently. Also, guys, I don't know if anybody else has had issues with gaming chairs just generally being uncomfortable altogether. I decided to give a chair a try by a company known as Downix, and overall the build process only took about 30 minutes. And for the price, I think that the chair is very reasonable. It is comfortable, and I think that the chair looks aesthetically clean. I'm coming from a Secret Labs new chair, and it's much more comfortable. So if you guys are in the market for a gaming chair, definitely check out the Downix chairs. So as far as aesthetics, ESPTIGER has definitely nailed it out of the park. The pad definitely looks absolutely phenomenal, and I think anybody with black or white mice is going to be very happy with the aesthetics of the pad itself. It even matches my headphones, the DT900 Pro X, and really anything in your setup as far as blacks and whites or things that go with blacks and whites, which is almost everything, is certainly going to look very good next to this pad. I think that separate and apart from aesthetics, the main thing I care about is performance. If the performance of a pad is awful, despite its beautiful aesthetics, I'm not going to use it, but the performance of the pad is definitely very good. The base is very consistent. The base didn't move in game. The stitching and everything is definitely on a level that seems very highly well done. And as far as the performance of the pad, the performance of the glide, how I play with it in game, again, it might be my #1 combo right now for glass skates, but it is a pad that is going to be on a little bit of a faster feeling side and a little bit less control, as far as not feeling that tug feeling if you like control pads on PTFE skates. It is definitely something that has less control for additional control from the pad. Something like the Odin Eclipse this is not going to provide that extra level of tug specifically from the pad itself. So if you're looking for something that, for me, I would put on a level of just being a very, very good, well-balanced cloth pad, and one that has very beautiful aesthetics, and one that feels, if you have glass skates, extremely exceptional with glass skates, I can definitely recommend the pad. If that helped, guys, please leave a subscription to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review. Peace.